Hello everyone, Chef Eric here and welcome back to my channel. And today we'll be breaking down puff pastry as a whole, or just like as a topic. I didn't think I'd be teaching people how to make things at this very young age, and especially with a whiteboard behind me, but here we are. Puff pastry is just a little bit of a complex recipe and it needs a little bit of breaking down before I can actually show you how the recipe works, so you can be able to understand a little bit better. But if you already understand how puff pastry works, or you just want to skip right directly to the recipe, I have chapters down below so you can just click direct and move ahead. But for those who are interested, let's get started. So before I begin, I'd just like to explain exactly what puff pastry is. So puff pastry is basically just a laminated dough or pastry, whatever you like to call it. And when I say laminated, this is exactly what I mean. When I say laminated, we have developed layers and layers of butter and dough. So the blue is going to represent the dough and the black shall represent our butter block. So that's basically how it works. Now if you can see, it's just an example of how exactly a puff pastry kind of looks like an inside perspective, but it has like way more layers than this. Usually a puff pastry has a standard of about, so this is basically what when you say puff pastry is kind of what we mean. We have different layers of butter and dough developed. So for the blue represents the dough, and then our black represents the butter. And this is the example, this is the analogy we're going to use throughout this video, so just get that down in mind. So what happens when you bake a certain pastry? When you bake a certain pastry, butter, or in this case using margarine, pastry margarine to be specific, it's been formulated in a way that it can be easily be able to roll and be folded, and it's extremely elastic, and to make sure it doesn't break throughout the dough. So whenever it's baking, butter contains, or margarine contains, a little bit of water in it. So when it comes in contact with heat, it produces steam. When it produces steams, it pushes these layers up. It pushes everything upwards, in the upward direction, causing the layers to separate. So that's why when you're looking like at a pastry, you'd see the different layers forming. Same way in a croissant, you see the different layers forming. So that's exactly how puff pastry, or those beautiful layers we see in like the meat pies, the sausage rolls, the Danish pastries, that's exactly how they are formed. Now that we kind of understand how puff pastry works, we can start to make the actual pastry itself. So we're going to start by making a base dough in which you're going to wrap the butter in to make all those layers that I have previously talked about. So you're going to start by combining some all-purpose flour, some salt, and some cold water, and just gonna keep mixing that together until it's all fully incorporated, and you want to dump it out onto your counter, onto your working space, and you want to knead it for about 3 to 4 minutes, just until the dough comes together beautifully. You don't want to knead it for too long. The dough might seem dry at first, but as you keep going, the dough will continue to hydrate and will become fully solid and become one mass. So once that's done, set it aside, and you can now pull out your parchment paper, your ruler, and your pencil, because you're gonna need a lot of this during this recipe. So you just want to mark a 7 by 7 inch square all around the parchment paper, flip it over, and then add your dough into that square. You just want to press it down lightly just to kind of feel those edges, and just want to fold it up on those lines that we drew. You want to just do this exactly at those lines so that we don't mess up anything we've already previously created. Once everything is all nice and folded up, you just want to take your dough and in its parcel, flip it over, and then you want to take your rolling pin and you want to roll the dough out to all of those edges that you have created by folding up and drawing that original square. So once it's all nice and rolled up, you want to chill it in the fridge for about half an hour to an hour. In the meantime, we can start to make our butter block, or in this case, our pastry margarine block. This is the most important ingredient for this recipe. Most recipes out there will tell you to use butter, but when I tried butter, it's okay, but butter is extremely temperature sensitive, so it will be really easy to mess it up, especially if you're a beginner. Ilinishinda completely. I tried a million times and it's not for me, so I switched over to pastry margarine, and it's pretty accessible, especially here in Kenya, or to be specific, in Nairobi. This I got from TopServe. I'll leave a link down in the description box below. It's an online shop and they have everything you need for baking, and that's where I got this. I got about a kilo, and it serves you well. So you just want to weigh out about 227 grams of butter or pastry margarine. I'm gonna keep saying butter by mistake because like I'm kind of used to watching all the videos that say butter, but it's pastry margarine. I just want to lay that onto, and then you want to draw a 4 by 4 inch square, and then you want to layer on that butter. It looks like a mountain of butter clearly. So you just want to fold up all the edges, and then you want to gently start to pound, flip it over, and then gently start to pound it out. It will increase in size. It will become maybe a 5 or a 5 by 5 or a 6 by 5. Just gonna keep beating it, but if it goes too far, you just want to take a ruler and just want to straighten up those edges until it should be an even square. Once your butter or margarine block is formed, you want to just set it aside. For pastry margarine, you do not need to chill it because at room temperature it's hard but pliable, and that's exactly what you need. So all you need to worry about in this case is having the dough and the margarine at the same texture, or almost at the same, just the same feel. If the dough is really soft, you do not want to work with it because the butter won't roll out with the dough. It will just stay in one point, or it might even shatter, and then it will give you uneven, funny looking layers, which we absolutely do not want. Take out your dough and pull it out of its parchment sheet, and then you want to extend it evenly into a long rectangle, so that if we place our butter block on one side, we can be able to flip it over. So I made mine a bit too wide, but it's okay, we can fix that. So you just want to add in your margarine block and then fold it over, flip it over, and you want to take those excess edges and just want to flip them over and pinch the sides and fold them over onto the butter, so that we have a nice and even square about the same size as our butter block that we're working with here. Flip it over to the original side, and we want to start to roll this out. This is a bit scary, but you'll work through it as long as your dough is hard enough and it's almost the same consistency as your margarine block, as I have mentioned before. You want to start to pound it out with your rolling pin gently, but you just want to just go down on it, but don't do it too hard. Be gentle, but not too gentle. Yeah, you want to roll it out into a long rectangle, and as you can see here, I have funny edges. You want to slice it off at the tips where it's not exactly a square, but if you don't mind, really like me, you can just keep it the way it is, because we're 100% sure with all the tips that I've given you, we have the butter spread out evenly through across that whole thing. It's there, 100% sure. So now we want to perform a triple fold. It's the most popular fold that we have, and all we need to do is just to fold the dough from the side closest to you a third of the way over, and then fold the piece of dough farthest away from you towards and over that third you had rolled over. You just want to make sure it's nice and even. You want to keep trial and error just until it works out to form a beautiful triple fold. And in this case, we have multiplied the layers by 3. Now we have 3 layers. The original 3 layers that we had, we've multiplied them by 3, increasing the number of layers, which is exactly what we want. And you want to make sure you do this during the cold season, which I feel like is a really important factor. If you're living in Mombasa, I feel like it will be hard, extremely hard for you. So for my Mombasa people, I highly suggest you buy it, because it's a mess, honestly. So just when you still have the dough, you want to perform that same triple fold again, and just keep in mind we're going to perform this 6 more times, so just be patient. You want to just wrap it up in some parchment paper, and you want to just place it into the refrigerator for about an hour to 45 minutes, just for half an hour to 45 minutes, just for it to rest and for the gluten to relax, so that when you pull it back out, it's easier to roll and it won't give us as much stress. This specific first fold, what have we done exactly? So for this fold, we have encased our butter and dough together. So this is kind of how it looks like on the inside. We have dough, we have butter, and we have another layer of dough. This is kind of what we have right now. Yeah. Then when we're gonna extend this out, and then we're gonna roll it using a triple fold. So we're gonna perform a triple fold, and a triple fold is going to multiply these numbers of layers by 3. So with the original 3 layers that we had, now we multiply it by 3. And what do we get? We get 9 layers. Now this officially has 9 layers of dough and pastry, and in like practically speaking, 9 layers kind of looks like this. This is kind of what it looks like on the inside. We have layer dough, butter, dough, dough, butter, dough, dough, butter, dough. That's basically how it works. So when we keep rolling and extending and folding and rolling and folding and rolling, it might seem like a very monotonous thing to do. It might be quite annoying, but it is very important to be able to form those beautiful layers. So for this recipe, we're going to be performing 6 triple folds, which will give us a total of quite a number of layers, which is more than enough to to lift the pastry on its own and let it form a nice, beautiful and crunchy layer, which I'm sure everybody loves. So thank you so much for that explanation, and you can now proceed on to the next and you're just gonna perform that same triple fold, pull it back out of the fridge, and I decided to show you guys a little bit of the inside. That's kind of how it looks like. It looks like it has layers of butter and dough. These layers are more prominent in the beginning, but as you proceed, the layers are gonna become thinner and thinner and thinner, making it hard to see. So I thought maybe I should just show you at this point. So as you go, you wanna just gently trim off the edges, and you wanna roll in one direction. In the first roll, as you remember, I rolled in all different directions, and that's not what you're supposed to do. Roll in one direction. Once the dough comes out of the fridge again, you want to rotate it 90 degrees and roll in that direction, just straight. Don't roll on the sides. That's not what you want. You just want to make sure all the layers are balanced. As you can see here, the layers are starting to become thinner and thinner and much significantly harder to see. Perform your layers and perform your layers and perform your layers just until you're done with all the 6 folds. It might take a while. It's almost a whole day's affair, but in between those 30-minute, 40-minute rest times, I feel like you'll be able to complete that job. And it's time consuming, but when the result comes out, I promise you it is absolutely amazing and you're gonna love it. So once your dough is all nice and rolled and folded up all 6 times, it's important you perform all 6 folds, because if you don't perform even one fold, it might alter the results or might alter the outcome of your puff pastry. So once it's all nice and done, you just want to gently press it down, and you want to wrap it in that cling film and let it sit in the fridge overnight. Gives it an opportunity for the gluten to relax, and also makes it way easier for you to roll out the next day. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week for a brand new video. And next week I'll be sharing with you guys my meat pie recipe using this puff pastry, and the week after that I'll be showing you guys my sausage roll recipe. So stay tuned.